mint underneath it, so mint.
Okay. So, first, where were you born?
Bismarck, North Dakota.
Okay, well, what was your town like?
What was the town like?
What was your town like?
What was my town like?
Yeah, what was Bismarck
We
like?
didn't live in town. We lived out in the boonies.
Okay, what was your home like?
Did you live in a mud hut then?
No.
That was in Korea.
Well, yeah.
No, that
he
was
did
in
live
North
there.
Dakota.
Yeah.
You lived in a mud hut in North Dakota.
Yeah.
But
But that isn't where I was born. I was born in Bismarck, North Dakota. Mandan is kind of a Mandan, really. It's just outside of Bismarck. Where at, I have no idea. It was at a home or a hospital or what, I have no idea. But the home was a farm home, and it was a log home, 2-story, and it had outbuildings like a barn. And then from the house to the barn, they always had a rope. And that was for winter travel between the house and the barn. Because one day you go outside and you wouldn't be able to see the barn. Because there was, wind was blowing so bad, the snow was flying so bad, so we always followed the rope to and from the barn. So one day you'd walk out the front door, and the next day you crawl out the upstairs window on the snow.
Wow.
And then during the night, the wind would blow it all away. And Grandpa was a bootlegger. He made bathtub gin, and he actually did. He had there was a room up there that had a bathtub in it, and that's where he made that illegal hooch.
So that was Grandpa Paget?
No, that
Or it was
Grandpa Goughfner.
that's Grandma. That's Grandma.
That's my mother's dad.
Oh. What was his name?
Huh?
What's his name?
His name was Psy.
I never heard
Psya Goughfner.
And it's Goph. How do you spell it?
No, Sya.
Yeah. But then the last name.
Goughfner, Goughfner.
So you guys all live together?
No, Mom didn't live there. Mom was in
Spokane?
Bonners. Yeah, after I was born, there's a period of time, I can't remember, where she lived at that time. I have no idea. I suspect that she probably lived there, but then she moved to Bonners, and then I stayed with Grandpa out on the farm until I was 12 years old, I think, when I came. When I left the Dakotas, I was 12 years old, me and Betty May, because she was there for a little while.
In Laverne?
Huh?
In Laverne?
Laverne was in Bonners. I never could figure out. I've never been able to figure out why the living arrangements. I never did know. But see, Dad my stepdad, he was raised in the Dakotas because he met Mom at one of the dances, I guess, that they had were in Bowman. And then they got married, and then they moved to Bonners and left me at Grandpa's. And why, I have no idea. I've never been told, and never been able to figure it out why. And then when I got ready to come to Bonners, Betty May had come back, went back to the Dakotas, and picked me up, and we got on a train, and we went on the train from there back to Bonners.
Who's Betty May?
Betty May is my cousin.
Aunt Frances.
Yeah, Aunt Frances is my mother's sister, who is Aunt Frances. Betty May was her daughter.
Do you need to know, like, for Grandpa to start off with his brothers and sisters and Grandma?
This is just supposed to be about Grandpa's life.
Okay.
So, you were basically raised by your grandpa for the first.
Until I was 12 years old. Yeah.
So, what did you do in that time? Like, you worked on the farm and.
Well, it wasn't a farm per se. Um, he had a couple animals there, but he didn't do any farm work, no fields or anything like that. He raised a garden, and we used to go fishing in the Missouri River. He would take, we weren't too far from there, and he would take ropes and make a set line and put it into the Missouri River, and then about every other day we'd go check it for fish and stuff like that. And then you go hunting quite often, and you hunt deer, rabbits, mainly just deer and rabbits. And during the summertime, it was always rabbits because there were a lot of cottontails and oodles of jackrabbits, but they weren't any good. And then pheasant. There was out in the Dakotas, there was a lot of pheasants.
So, how old were you when you first went hunting?
I have no idea. I never did shoot a gun. I always went with Grandpa.
So, what would you do on the hunts with him?
Just be there, watch him, see how he did things. Always just, I was there. He was a babysitter, and I was a baby.
That's hard to think
But he
about.
didn't have any cows to milk or anything like that. As I recall, I think he had a horse, and he may have had a couple cows. I don't remember. But in fact, I know he had a couple horses.
And didn't you say that it would flood and then he'd sit out there and catch fish out of the little puddles that were left there?
Well, the garden was a good sized garden, but it was, for some reason, it was in a kind of a gully. I mean, here's the land, and then there was a depression in the ground, quite deep, as I recall, about 8, 10 feet deep. And you go down in there, and then he had it all plowed down there. But the Missouri River would flood, and it would fill this garden area up with water. And when it receded, there was a lot of fish in there. So Yeah, and we always had rabbits all the time because there were just hundreds and hundreds of cottontails out there.
They were good though to eat.
Yeah.
I'll move over here so you guys can talk. I'm just talking.
And did you like? What was your first pet?
Hmm?
What was your first pet?
What was my first what?
Pet, like an animal that you kept as a pet.
Oh, we didn't have a pet per se. We had a dog, but it was the farm dog or the household dog. They weren't pets.
So you really didn't have a pet until you met Grandma, or when did you have your first pet?
Well, I guess it had been in Bonners after I'd been in Bonners for quite a few years. I guess I don't know. I was probably 13 or 14 when we had a couple dogs that they were pets.
What's your favorite memory of Grandpa?
My
Uh
grandpa
huh.
hunting deer.
What made it so memorable?
The way we had to do it because this was all prairie out there, and in the prairies there was stands of brush, not trees, but brush. And the deer would gather in these stands of brush. So when you went hunting deer there, you had to get in the brush and you had to sit there and wait and be real still until the deer came. And that was, I remember many times we'd go out there and nothing would come. I mean, no deer would come or anything. But we had to be still and quiet all the time because in case a deer came, then that was your leverage to get the deer, because they wouldn't know you was in there. And the brush pocket could be 100, 200 feet square, or it could be just 4 or 5 brush plants out there, and a deer will gather in any of them for protection because you can't see them. It's real thick brush. So, and then we used to always try to shoot prairie dogs, and I never did, but I remember he would find a prairie dog hole, and he'd find these prairie dogs standing out there yipping, and he would try to shoot them. And he'd get a good aim on them and fire. By the time the bullet got there, the prairie dog was in the hole. There was something about the damn prairie dog could hear it coming or something, and he was faster than the bullet was. And he never did ever get a prairie dog with a rifle like that. It just wasn't in the cards.
So, what did is it Grandpa Psy, right?
Uh huh.
What did Grandpa Psy do for a living?
Make hooch.
Well, I guess his main income.
I did. Wait a minute. I just moved out a little bit and it went off. I'm sorry. And then I promised